Hi, this is Paul Acevedo of Windows Central, here with a video review of Infinity Runner from Wales Interactive. This game is available on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Steam. Infinity Runner is a first-person perspective, endless running game. It does have a level-based story mode, with 14 levels in total. The premise is simple but interesting. You wake up on this spaceship called the Infinity, with a mysterious lady telling you that you need to run for your life. So you do, and it turns out that there's a bunch of soldiers on the ship who are trying to kill you. As the game progresses, it becomes apparent that you are actually playing a guy who can turn into a werewolf. These story sequences are delivered to you via the lady's voiceover, and whenever you beat a level, you get a longer story segment. They are really basic and cheap looking. However, the actual story is pretty intriguing. So it's a shame that it ends with a to be continued instead of actually resolving the storyline. 3D endless runners are not a new thing, but it is unusual for one of them to take place in a first-person perspective, and it's not like we get a bunch of those on consoles to begin with. The way the game works, your character is always running forward uncontrollably, but you can use the left analog stick to dodge left and right, which is important for picking up collectibles and simply avoiding certain obstacles. You can slide with the left trigger, and you can jump with the right trigger, and you'll have to use both moves to stay alive. Whenever your character reaches an intersection, you have to make a sharp right or left turn. You do that using the right analog stick. I initially found this to be a little bit unintuitive. You have to start your turn a little bit early, basically. If you start it as late as you might in other endless running games, you'll end up hitting the wall. The game also has some combat to it. Whenever you encounter an enemy, or group of enemies, you'll engage in a quick-time event-style battle, where you have to press several buttons in a row. It's usually not very hard to do. They're easy, but unfortunately the fights are just really boring. They are always the same, they take too long, and I really wish they could be skipped. In story mode they cannot, unfortunately. The werewolf mode in Infinity Runner just kind of blurs your vision and makes you move a little bit faster. It does cause you to suck up power-ups automatically, and it lets you break through a few specific walls and then run down some maintenance shafts. So the game doesn't really capitalize on your being a werewolf very well, in my opinion, but it's still kind of a cool premise. Infinity Runner offers 3 difficulties, with easy being the only one that I recommend actually playing on. You see, this is a very dark game, so dark that in many levels I just can't see what's happening if I'm playing during the daytime. You'll come to these intersections where you have to make a split-second decision about where to turn, and that can be really difficult when you just cannot see the wall or you cannot see which pathways are open to you. On easy difficulty, the game at least puts these glowing turn markers for you, but you don't get that on normal or hard, which makes those modes absolutely no fun. I think they made the game so dark in order to kind of hide the lo-fi visuals. They're very early PlayStation 2-esque and simplistic. It's not a crime for a game to be so oppressively dark, but it doesn't suit this type of game, like a horror game, or even just a first-person shooter or adventure game would work perfectly well with the darkness, but in a game where you have to make really fast decisions, it doesn't help at all. There are also plenty of obstacles where you just have no time to react, really, on normal and hard especially. And the only way to know how to get through them is just to memorize that section of the level, and that's not really great game design. So playing on easy, it won't be too hard most of the time. It can be a little bit fun. Playing on the higher difficulties, it's just too hard to be fun. Besides the story mode, Infinity Runner also offers an arcade mode. In this mode, you can turn off the fights, which is great, and just pick a level and play for as long as you can. Endless mode is still way too dark and doesn't have the glowing signs to tell you where to turn, but otherwise it's more fun since you don't have to deal with fights or any kind of loading times after it starts up. The game also offers a series of challenges that you can work towards completing. The actual challenges start out pretty fair, but then they get rough, basically just requiring you to collect all the collectibles in the game and beat each of the 3 difficulty levels without dying. So that's pretty steep. Those are just regular achievement things. So the challenge achievement is kind of like the Platinum Trophy, because it's just requiring you to do every little thing. On the plus side, you don't have to beat all of the levels without dying in a row. You can beat each level individually without dying, which is a little more fair. Infinity Runner has some good things going for it. I enjoy the story, light as it is. The atmosphere is pretty cool, the music is electronic and really good, and it's just kind of different. But I can't help feeling that this should have been a 3D action game or first-person shooter instead of an endless runner. All of the endless things about the game are annoying. Running into walls and dying is annoying. Not being able to skip over things because you just have to run through them after you die, annoying. And the game is just too dark for its own good. but the story and setting are good enough that I'd really like to see a sequel, and hopefully if Wales Interactive makes one, they'll choose a different game design next time. Thanks for watching. Read the full review at windowscentral.com.